Been sitting here for days! Start the damn joust before I piss myself.
Good evening and welcome to the Joust. My name is Naggy. I'm here once again with my globe-trotting intercontinental co-host Liam McNeil. Liam, it's good to be back.
Naggy, it's fantastic to be back. Thank you for having me again in our brand new studio space. And thank you, Jousters, for not abandoning us in the times I was gone. I do appreciate that, as I appreciate you, Naggy, not abandoning me as well.
It was 2 years, 3 years. I don't know how long it's been, Liam, but it felt
Half
like
a decade, perhaps.
It felt like a lifetime. But we're back. And it's almost like we never left, or we've never missed the first 5 weeks of the season. It all blends into one, Liam. It's like we were here, and now we're here again, Liam. But it wouldn't be Rugby League, looking back, without some controversy, Liam. Liam, the Rugby League season lives on controversy. See, we have the game, which is the product throughout the season, and then the off-season, we have controversy.
Which has been wonderful, because as we all know, things have been rough in the world. You know, we've got the Russo-Ukrainian conflict.
Of course.
We have the ongoing effects of the pandemic, you know, the Iranian Revolution. But what we had all through the off-season is Rugby League. Rugby League happens 365 days a year, and we're better for it. And society is better for it.
I think, Liam, if we're looking really at the Rugby League controversy throughout the off-season, is the danger to the game itself, which was the CBA. Liam, they've unionised.
Commies. There's a bunch of communists who have taken over Rugby League, and they are just trying to dismantle it with their unionising, I think they call it, unionisation. Call it what you will. But it's just, you know, the Reds are under the bed.
I remember a time, Liam. I remember back when you were in the mines as a child, 7 years old, you're throwing a pickaxe, and you said, go in there and you dig coal. You get in there and you do your work as a child. And then when you're old enough, maybe at 11, they take away the pickaxe and they give you a steed and they say, go out and play rugby league.
Child labour laws are ruining this country.
Not anymore, Liam. Not anymore. The children cannot go in the mines and the players cannot work in a capitalist society because they're all together. And not enough is ever enough, except if it's about $12.5 million. And that's about enough.
Who's working in the mines?
Well, I don't know. We've got to find that out.
Well, it's not children.
Well, we can look into that. Where's a mine? It's out in the valley.
I think it's in the valley. I think they're going to put the pensioners in next.
Well, we can't go out to the valley too far because, of course, we've got Cessnock City Council via the Joust, and we're not allowed to comment on that. We have a gag order in place.
And we'll ask you not to ask questions about Cessnock City Council versus the Joust. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. I believe it's called an NDA.
But we're so close, Liam, to possibly not having a game to follow. It came right down to the margin. We had Clint Newton and the CEO. What's his name's first
Andrew
name?
Abdo.
Andrew Abdo. He was there. They locked horns. They went into the back room. There was recordings. There was illegal recordings, and there were things said about each other.
Now, I've been saying this for years. You never trust a man with an alliterative name. So Andrew Abdo, as soon as I saw that, double A, no thank you. No thank you. We don't have time for the same letter.
It's like you can't trust a man with two first names.
Exactly.
Which puts you at a disadvantage if you already have a surname that is a first name, because you're going to get a first name as a first name.
Like my friend, Josh Matt.
Josh, you don't trust him. Do not trust him.
I never have.
But Liam, sometimes in off seasons, there is some crimes committed.
Oh, fairly regularly, in fact, I believe.
This season, we took a different turn. We thought, we don't want the players committing that many crimes. We want the parents of players committing crimes. Some serious, which we won't talk about, but some also not so serious. But one player from the St. George Illawarra Dragons.
That well-known and famous club, St. George Illawarra Dragons.
Who's that fellow, Liam?
I believe it was Tyrell Sloan, Nagy.
He decided to commit a crime.
Talatau. Apologies to Tyrell. I know he's a good friend of the show. He listens regularly.
Talatau.
Yes.
Decided not only to commit a crime, Liam, but to commit a crime with a family member. Now, as the old adage says, Liam, you know, you can commit some petty crimes with your cousin.
Petty crimes with your cousin.
You can commit a misdemeanor with your sister.
A misdemeanor with your sister.
But you never commit a felony with your father. It's just against the rules.
It's not the way the game works. It's not in the rugby league mindset to commit a felony with your father.
No. It must be ruled out, but obviously, look, it's within the court system now. We'll leave it within the court system. We cannot pass judgment here.
Boy, wouldn't you be glad if you spent, hundreds of thousands of dollars and several years attaining your title of the Queen's Counsel and then they come to you and say, well, some rugby league player did a dumb thing.
With a hammer.
With
apparently.
a hammer, in fact.
Allegedly with a hammer.
Allegedly. We can't stress that strongly enough.
Allege is going to be our word of the week. Now, boys, there has also been some lesser crimes, which I think if they should be charged with anything, is boys will be boys. And that's Latrell Mitchell and Jack Whiten decided to get into a bit of a scuff.
Now, if getting into a scuff outside of a pub with your mates, touching tips on the street, I think that should be allowed.
Having a wrestle just with the fellas.
Just mucking about with the boys.
So what if it was 3 a.m?
You know, sometimes it's 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, you're at the pub, you just want to pack a scrum with your mates.
Sometimes
and that's all that happens. And I have seen the footage, as you have. We reviewed the footage as part of our discretionary committee that we're on. And, you know, that's it. That's all it was. A case of boys being boys. And that should not be outlawed in this country.
How dare those police officers.
How dare they indeed.
Decide to intervene.
Another body we can't speak poorly about, the New South Wales Police Force.
No, of course. No,
Apologies to all policemen out there.
All out serving officers. But you will just let the boys will be boys. Doesn't matter what time's on the clock. Doesn't matter where it's happening. Just let the fellas have a bit of a wrestle when they feel like they need to. It's testosterone, Liam.
That's all it is. Testosterone.
It's boiling.
It's
boiling
natural.
through.
It boils. That's how testosterone works, I think. It's a liquid.
There's been also, Liam, not only was there some controversy, but there was some movement.
So much movement.
And when we look at our beloved side, the Newcastle Knights, there was lots of new faces.
So many new faces.
New faces we'd never seen before come to our fair shores on a boat. They didn't fly here, drive here. No, they said, well, there's a harbour.
Well, we're a port city, of course. Newcastle, very well known. I don't know if our listeners know this, but very well known for being a port city.
And usually importing coal, but we decided to import players.
I believe we export coal, Naggy.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, well, the coal comes out, but then
something comes in. There has to be some exchange of goods or value or services or something, or NRL players. They are a currency to us. The modern NRL player is a currency.
Empty boats we import, and we export full boats, full of the rich, wonderful substance that is coal, which stretch out and
black gold,
mined by the children of our fair community.
No, we stopped with the children.
We did. We stopped with the children.
That's why the boats are empty going out. There's no children filling them up.
But Liam, there were some brand new faces that came to the Newcastle Knights.
Not children.
Grown men. Most of them.
Largely.
And they got such an eclectic mix. And I think we'll start with our new halfback, Jackson Hastings.
Now, he's got an interesting look, Jackson, going on. I think we'll see him up on the screen there. You know, I didn't know this, but apparently Jackson Hastings is a member of the clergy. You'll see he's got the
he looks like a monk.
He looks like a monk on his day off.
A monk on leave.
A monk on leave is what he looks like.
I'm not sure what he asked for when he goes into the barber. Maybe they got one within the clergy itself. That he asked for that specific haircut.
He said something that Pope Pius X would have. I love that. That'd be fantastic. And here we are.
I want to see is the back of him. Does he have any hair there? Because you know monks traditionally had no hair at the back, but in a perfect sort of round.
Well, they had the shaved circle on the top, like Friar Tuck in that fantastic Disney cartoon.
Did they shave it? Was it part of
the Lady and the Tramp?
Was it part of the thing? Well, you got to shave the back.
I just think it was, you know, because the God's above them.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we want him looking down on a pretty nice shiny scalp.
Yeah.
You know, you can't have dandy if you get rid of it.
Yeah.
You can't have the Brody Jones head, shoulders, knees and toes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
of course
head and shoulders, knees and toes, Brody Jones.
The
druff. But we've got so many more, Liam. It's also
we?
Yeah, well, Liam, we've got an Olympian playing for us now.
Oh, an Olympian, of course.
A man from the Olympics.
Lockie
Miller. Can you remember back which Olympics he participated in?
It was 1980.
I believe around there, so yeah.
It was in Moscow Olympics.
The Moscow Olympics, of course. So many great Australians.
Just fantastic Australians.
Represented Australia in the Moscow Olympics. If I remember correctly, the swimming, it was...
Garth Delancey.
Garth Delancey, that's the one. Which, you know, he was an incredible athlete. One that we don't type of see his calibre.
Which is a shame.
Anymore. But, you know, some of you might remember Garth Delancey from the work that he did with Penguin Mufflers. He was Penguin Man.
He was Penguin Man, in fact. And a role that he relished. A role that he really loved, playing Penguin Man for Penguin Mufflers.
We didn't just get clean cut fellas, Liam. We got some guys that were rough around the edges.
We did, as Newcastle people are.
And of course, we've got Tyson responsibly.
Tyson responsibly. What a man. Now, this is a man who was born to play for the Newcastle Knights. I think most of our listeners and viewers, in fact, I know there's a lot of you who do listen so you don't have to look at our mugs, would have seen the Adam Dewey incident.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I said, you know what? I think we should give this man the key to the city.
Take him.
And we should make him mayor. Now, remembering that I previously said that we should do the same for Nathan Brown.
Yes.
So take with a grain of salt.
Well, how many keys do we have?
Well, I don't know. I think you'd have a few.
Well, at least one. We have a spare. We
You gotta have a spare. It's under the mat at Town Hall. It's under the mat at the front doorstep.
That's where you'd have to keep it.
It's the best spot. No one thinks to look under the mat.
Maybe one of the stones within Town Hall is a fake stone that you could take out and you crack open because it's made of plastic.
Oh, well, that's a great idea. But now everyone knows about it, Naggy. We'll have to change the locks again.
You've got New Italian Elms running down to Town Hall right now saying, get the spare out from under the mat. They're going to check there.
Next time we're there, we'll pop in and we'll have a chat to New Italia. Obviously, listener of the show, dear friend of the show. So we'll have a chat.
We have a bustling winger, Liam. A new, fresh-faced bustle. We haven't had a really gutsy, hard-running winger since a coup.
Oh, yes, that's a great comparison.
But we have a new
Aku Maju.
Aku Maju.
Yes.
Maju.
Maju.
I don't know where he's from, but it is. But it's great to have
Definitely
him.
not Newcastle.
No, well,
but he should be.
He's home now. He came in on the empty boat that was filled with coal.
I was on the boat too. It was really empty.
We all were there.
Those boats are huge.
We piloted them into the harbour. And
my dear friend Paddy Richardson works on those enormous,
those huge
empty boats.
And we can't forget. There's, of course, a bit of another wily fella, the Red Mist.
The Red Mist, yes. Now,
I wasn't aware that he was a Newcastle origin. He played for Valentine's, is that right?
Now he did. He was a Valentine
We're talking
Devils.
about Jack Hetherington, of course.
Jack Hetherington, the Red Mist, Valentine Devils Junior. So he's got the VD. And I think what a lot of people don't realise about Jack Hetherington is
he's got the VD. Yeah,
his Newcastle pedigree is laced with VD. His father and his uncle Brett Mullins, Raiders legend, owned the Gunya Hotel in Belmont for some time. So it's no wonder that Jack can throw mugs with the best of them.
I'm excited to see him. Let him off the leash.
Let him unleash himself. Don't let him off. Let him throw off the leash.
Off the leash. Tug the leash out of the unshackle him. Let him go. The game's getting too soft, Liam.
It's soft, and I think we'll come to that later with a bit of a story from Phil about the game being soft.
Now, Liam, there's the final member that I think we should talk about is, of course, Mr. Boyle.
Oh, Mr. Boyle, yes.
Adam Elliott himself. He came with two roles. Two roles to this fair city, and one of them was to play rugby league. The other was to keep Millie Boyle happy.
Now, I don't know about you, but only having two roles in life, that's not many roles to have. That's
only
a very simple amount of roles.
Two?
Very few.
So far, we've seen not much rugby league from him, and Millie Boyle is apparently going to leave the club. So
he's batting zero.
What's happened? We brought him here for two roles, and both of them he's failing at. I'm sorry to say it, Adam, but you've got to try a bit harder. You've just keep those two things in line, and the rest will fall into place.
And keep in mind, Adam, that Coach O'Brien will be coming to us for our... What do you call it when O'Brien calls us up halfway through the season?
Usually a barbecue.
Barbecue. Yeah, we have a little barbecue with him, and we give our
turn a few snags.
Pour beer on the barbie like Dad used to do all the time.
Rissoles.
Never did anything.
He throws a bit of beer on the barbecue and then gives us the eyebrows like it's an old family recipe.
When was the last time you had a rissole?
Rissole? I don't know. You see them there. But I remember...
Because rissoles were all about the filler. The rissole was never just beef. There was carrot. There was onion.
Bits.
Yeah. There was miscellaneous bits. I haven't had a good rissole in a long time.
Chitlins. They're all in there. They're all... And there's the bits.
All the bits.
Because if you see a rissole without the bits, you're like, that's not going to taste very good. But if it's got the... Yeah, whatever it is, it's green... It's going to stick in your teeth and be there for about 4 days.
As is tradition.
Liam, we can't really go on without talking about the Tigers, Liam. The Tigers...
Yes, how about them?
...have fallen into this world of turmoil. Now, they've been the kicking boys of the NRL for I don't know how long now, probably years.
Well, up until Tim Sheens signed 6 months ago, and then the NRL media decided that they were all of a sudden the hot topic of discussion. Everyone loved them.
They got together and they said... You're never going to see attack like this. We're really prepping up. And sure enough, we didn't see attack like that at all.
Well, that's it. We've never seen attack so poor, I think is the best way to put it. But
now, we've been through hard times here at the Knights, Liam, and it's tough to kick a player or kick a team while they're down. But when it's not yourself and it's not the team you support, give them a couple of toes.
It's a bit of fun. It's a good bit of fun.
Throw the size 12 in. and just straight under the ribs and then run away like you weren't involved at all.
And the best thing about it is, as Knights, we know what it's like to finish last. But when you finish last,
Very well.
in the past, you could not get any worse.
No.
You finished 16th, you could not get worse. However,
you're only as good as the last competition you played in, and they're holding that big wooden spoon.
but now they can get worse. They can
can.
finish one rung below where they finished last year, which was last.
I remember in 2015, Liam, I said...
I don't.
2015, the Knights finished last on 20 points, 20 competition points, which equaled the record only with of the highest points for the wooden spoon, equaling only with the Newcastle Knights of 2005. Now, I said to someone, I was like, well, we're on the bottom. How bad can it get? And it got a lot worse. Liam. It got a lot worse. 2016, one win, one draw.
You'll remember, of course, we had the bye, and we got off the bottom.
Off the bottom.
Off the bottom.
Off the bottom. The best way to get off the bottom is...
We didn't even have to turn up.
Didn't do any work
Didn't have to do anything.
Ever. But Liam, if we look at the Newcastle Knights' most recent effort against the Manly Sea Eagles, the draw in Mudgee.
Yes, the Mudgee something alliterative.
Something alliterative.
The madness in Mudgee.
Madness in Mudgee, Liam. It was absolutely crazy.
The Mudgee massacre.
Now,
Except both teams massacred each other evenly, which isn't really a massacre.
It was like the Holy Grail, except instead of cutting the limbs off the knight, they were cutting the limbs off each other. So there was just two torsos.
But how does that work? Once you got no arms, you can't cut the other bloke's arms off.
Biting.
Oh, yeah, having a nibble.
Having a gnaw.
Having a gnaw.
Now, Liam, I don't know how you felt.
Mudgee mouthful.
I don't know how you felt at 10-0, Liam. How did you feel at 10-0 when Manly were up 10-0?
Well, I felt how we generally feel at 10-0 as a Newcastle fan. I'd given up. I'd written my will. I'd, called the wife and said, hey, darling, we had a good run, but see you later.
You said, are those tickets to Canada returned?
They returned
Can we
tickets.
get back there? This is horrible. But we fought back.
Which, again, is an odd feeling.
Isn't it?
I don't remember what that felt like to be, losing,
Yeah.
but then not winning, but almost winning.
Sometimes winning and then also losing again. It was a game trading punches, trading blows, trading kicks, trading bites, stabs, all the rest. And
Hammers.
But you got to think, Liam, this season so far, every game it's felt like we're in it, or we've won it, or we've drawn. We've really taken it's been a real spread of
A melange.
a melange.
Melange in Mudgee. There we go. That's it.
There
The
it
Mudgee
is.
melange.
It was very tough to pick. It was an emotional roller coaster, and the roller coaster just came to a stop before it ended. It didn't feel like we should have gone for 100 minutes. Where's the extra time?
See, what you got to do is go to your movie world, your dream world. You go there during school time. Because when you go on school holidays, you go on the roller coaster. You got to get off. But if you go during school time, there's no one there.
No one
So
there.
you get on the Wild Wild West ride, of course. That great film with William Smith and
yeah.
Kevin Kline. You get to the end, you say no one wants to get on, let's just go on. We went on it 3 times without getting off.
That was a big ride for a movie that did quite poorly.
It really did bomb. I didn't even see it. I just don't see the point of it. Why does that film exist?
I don't know, but there's a much better film with Kevin Kline as a
Is
western
there?
called Silverado.
So he really got typecast a bit, didn't he?
As westerns that don't do very well at the box office.
I think that's his type.
Yeah. I think that's he's really honed in there.
Yeah.
Move over, Clint Newton. Clint
Kim
Eastwood.
Gingell. Kim Gingell. Famous Australian actor. Kim Gingell.
Not many people know all the westerns that Clint Newton was in.
I believe there's one.
It
and
sounds like a western
it
name.
was West New Lambton.
That's the West.
He was in there for several hours before being forcibly removed, as Kevin Kline was, from the scene of Wild Wild West.
As part of tradition, something we haven't done in a while, Liam, I think we're going to move to hats off, hats on, or hats on, hats off.
We still haven't worked it out.
Where
We've been
we
doing
take
this
our
since
hat off.
2017, and
Yeah.
we still don't know which
We don't
is which.
really know which is which, but we take our hat off to a certain player that we thought did exceptionally well, and we put
I thought it was the other way around.
and we
I'm
put
glad
our-
we clarified.
our hats back on to sort of give a bit of a negative spin on a particular person's performance during the game. Now, Liam, who is your hats off for this week?
Look, I've got to go with my hats off for the second greatest thing to come out of the Sawtell Panthers junior system, Lockie Miller. Of course, famous Olympian, as we discussed. I think he roomed with Garth Delancey in
At
the Moscow Olympics. Yeah,
Liam,
I think
can I
they
ask,
shared a room.
if he's the second best, who's the best?
Well, I think most listeners would know that as a Sawtell Panthers junior myself, it's definitely Noel Cleal. Sorry, he wasn't a junior. He came along later in the league.
He was an import.
Still arguably the greatest player to come out of Sawtell.
Amazing rugby league up there.
Yeah, phenomenal rugby league. Group 2, arguably the strongest rugby league competition in the universe.
In the universe.
In the universe.
I think I say in the mid-North Coast area.
No. The mid-North Earth area. All of it. Every bit of it.
And for myself, Liam, my hat's off. Can't go past a certain player that I thought won us the game, but I thought he had a very good game. Is Bradman Best.
Doesn't he look like a thumb?
A thumb.
Good, strong thumb of a man.
The shoulders are like the fist, and his head's like a thumb. And if he heard me saying
What's
that about
his legs?
Also thumbs, but they're face downwards. It's just a collection of thumbs. But if he heard me saying this about him, he'd beat me to within an inch of my life.
And rightly so. I've seen you fight, and I've never seen you fight.
No, I couldn't fight.
Naggy fights by not fighting, as do I. We're pacifists.
2 feet and a heartbeat. That's how I fight. Hey, straight out of there, straight out of town, straight up to the mid-North Coast, just a safe distance away from any conflict.
But no, there was lots of conflict there.
But Liam, I think we have the same hats back on.
Oh, I think that we do, Naggy, and it's
I-
something we'll address better in the questions later on. But
I don't.
who is our hats on?
I can't go past the referee in the box, in the bunker.
Now,
Grant.
if I know one thing about rugby league,
Yeah, you know, a
and I
couple.
don't know much about rugby league,
No, but two
it's
things.
that we do not like referees.
No.
And arguably the worst thing to come out of Sawtell was Ray the referee. Now, Ray was the manager of the local Liquorland.
Of course.
And of course, on the weekends when he wasn't at Liquorland, he was refereeing the Sawtell Panthers. And boy, didn't the Sawtell crowd hate him. Because that is what rugby league is all about. The officials,
Yep.
the people who run the game,
Of course.
the heart and soul of the game. We
All
couldn't
them.
have the game without them.
No.
We hate them.
we
We
still-
don't like them.
And that also goes for the people that are working at Liquorland.
Especially Liquorland.
He had a really good. He's really picked his job well there, because they can't be like, I'm never going to come to your establishment again until there's great specials on Shiraz.
It was a small town. There wasn't many bottlers.
Exactly. He had
It was just the one.
he had the monopoly.
He had the monopoly.
had the
He also, you'd see him at church every Sunday. He had his 7 kids, and they were all in their
7?
Sunday best. And yeah, you'd see people threaten to kill him on a Saturday, and then see him in church on a Sunday praying that they don't kill him. In fact,
It's wonderful. What a wonderful. He had the whistle in his mouth and,
He did.
and the red shirt on his back.
the whistle in his mouth, and the angel and the devil on either shoulder.
But it's Grant Atkins, Liam, that got the hats back on for us. I can't believe that he took
Very
that try
back on.
away. I can't believe he took it away from us. And most nights' games, Liam, you would have watched that and thought, well, that's it. We're done. Leave the stadium. Turn the television off. Walk off. I always walk off to the bathroom. That's
It's
right.
the best place to go
I trudge off.
because
I
you can
trudge.
turn the fan on,
Yeah.
and they can't hear you cursing.
Cursing. Because you've got church, of course, the next day.
We can't curse them if we got church the next day.
Because you can see the
I
bloke-
only got time to go to church and go to the confessional and still get out by 4 o'clock for kickoff.
You'll see the bloke at
I'd be in the
Liquorland.
confessional for hours.
It's it was something that happens to the Knights over and over again, that we feel like we've clinched it and then it's ripped away from us.
I feel like what's the opposite of karma?
I don't know if there is one.
Well, there should be, because it reminded me of the absolute thievery
Yeah.
from the Manly game when Aku Greg Marju dropped the ball on that wet night
Yeah.
and had a try awarded.
Of course.
And lost the game. It was the opposite of karma.
Wasn't it the one we got the field goal?
Oh, did we win that game?
I can't remember.
It was so long ago.
It was many, many moons and many, many suns
and
ago.
many beers and suns
Many-
ago.
They all
Several
blend-
alcoholic beverages.
They
ago.
all blend into one. But it was a game that I'm very proud of the boys. I think we left everything out in the field once again. I think that we're seeing like we're putting more, we're leaving more out in the field. There's going to be nothing left there.
Now, there was an interesting thing that was said. Sorry, I've just been informed by our producer, but the opposite of karma is inaction and a belief that destiny has predetermined your present and future with no way of changing it. What an interesting way to look at life, Naggy.
Bleak
Do you
as-
feel like that you have a way of changing life? Do you feel like
I definitely
Is there
re-
any changes you'd like to make in your life?
I definitely relate to inaction. I'll tell you that. Hey, am I right?
I've seen you in action,
Hey-ho!
and it ain't great.
No,
It ain't
that's,
great.
similar to me fighting.
I wanted to blind myself by jamming forks in my eyes.
Seeing me flee out of the country, back to the mid-north coast. Joust,
country.
we're going to take a halftime break, but please join us back for Liam's sack as well as the preview of the next round. We'll see you soon. Welcome back to the second half of the Joust. Now, Liam, this fair city of ours, Newcastle, the city that we love, the city that we can't be a part of, especially for you when you're coming back to the city. But, Liam, where would you say the heart of Newcastle is?
Look, I would say the heart of Newcastle is located in Hamilton.
Hamilton?
You know, yep, whether you're on the Hunter line, whether you're on the Sydney-Newcastle line,
Yeah.
it all converges at one place.
Where?
The Hamilton Station Hotel Naggy.
Well, exactly right, Liam. There's many pubs in Hamilton, but there's only one pub if you're an Overcastrian, and that's the Hamilton Station Hotel. Now, when I'm watching a game, Liam, sometimes I can't make it to the stadium.
Often we can't make it to the stadium. Tickets are very expensive. The meat pies cost upwards of $15.
Rudely, sometimes the games are miles and miles away. Sydney, who would want to go there?
I never would if you paid me money to.
No. But if you're not at the stadium, where are you watching the game, Liam?
Hamilton Station Hotel, thank you, sir.
Only place to watch rugby league, especially the Newcastle Knights, is the
Especially the Newcastle.
Hamilton Station Hotel. Liam,
You can watch other teams if you want there, but I wouldn't. You wouldn't enjoy it. But what you would enjoy is the fantastic poutine they have to offer at the kitchen counter.
Yes, you had the
Now-
you had the fantastic poutine there recently, Liam.
I have been living in
Yeah.
the land of poutine for the last few years. For those that don't know, poutine is a wonderful French-Canadian cuisine. It's chips, it's cheese curds, and it's gravy.
Delicious.
And I've been eating it once a week for the last 2.5 years.
And you thought when you left Canada, you thought, well, my poutine days are over.
I thought it was done.
But now-
I dreaded to think that I may never have another wonderful poutine. But Tim and the crew over there in the kitchen, my God, they got the curds right because you got to have them just a bit squeaky, a bit melty,
Yeah.
nice and stringy.
Now, Liam, you're a bit of a food and gravy lover.
I adore both things. Yeah.
And you've taken upon yourself to review some of the Newcastle's most delicious pastries.
And you know
in
what?
pie form.
And you know what goes well with a meat pie? A good try.
A good try.
So let's discuss, Naggy, our try of the week. Now, I don't know if you know Jousters, but the Newcastle Knights scored many, many tries on the weekend.
A handful.
But for me, a large handful. I don't have large enough hands. Yours are enormous. So
Yes,
a
yeah,
handful in Nagy's parlance. But, I was at Jack Horner's Bakery, Little Jack Horner's Bakery in Argenton the other day. 24 hours a day, 6 days a week.
24 hours a day.
24 hours a day, but only 6 days a week because obviously good Catholic, good Christian business.
Need a rest.
They shut on the day of the Sabbath so they can go to church and do their sabbaticals.
Of course.
And the things where you tell the crimes you did and
See
you can
the
get
man-
away with it.
See the man from Liquorland.
See the man from Liquorland, see referee Ray. And, I saw a lot of parallels between this wonderful try from Dan Safidi, where he passed a beautiful short ball to Jack Johns. And the beauty of it was that you have this big, enormous character in Dan Safidi.
Huge.
Who, if he were the filling of a pie, he'd almost overflow the pie.
Yeah.
But then you've got the wonderful supporting crust that is Jack Johns.
Yes.
Now, I usually prefer a light, flaky crust, as listeners would know, and fans of my Instagram page, Meat Pie's Dog's Eyes, if you're interested. And it had just the right amount of chew to hold in what was an enormous amount of beautiful, overflowing meat and gravy.
How are we doing for temperature?
It was perfect. It was just at, I want to say 16, 17 degrees after a 10-minute trip home.
16, 17 minutes after
Minutes rather, not degrees. 'Cause
Degrees is
16
quite
degrees,
cold.
I'd say that's actually straight out of the fridge. Now, thank you for correcting me.
No
16
problem.
or 17 minutes.
Minutes after purchase.
After purchase, which
Yeah.
is just enough time to get home,
Yeah.
get settled in,
Yeah.
squeeze the Master Food squeezy tomato sauce over it.
Do you plate the pie, Liam, or do you have it on the bag? I think we've got a photo up there. You can have it on the bag.
We do. Now, I like to have the pie on the bag because that is nature's plate.
Nature's plate.
It's made of cardboard or paper, which, as you well know, are made from trees, which are in nature.
Or cardboard derivatives. Yeah.
Or cardboard derivatives, whereas a plate,
Yeah.
I don't know what that's made of.
Who knows?
I don't think it occurs in nature.
They sell them for 90 cents at Kmart. They
I've
can't-
never seen a plate hanging off a tree.
No.
Now, for those that are looking at the screen here, please know that that is not my pie. Naggy,
No,
who do you think would make such a terrible photo of such a terrible pie?
Would take a terrible person, Liam, and I think that is Scott Morrison at the Sharks game. He's a Sharks supporter, and the Sharks lost, and he also lost the last election. So it is really well encompassing everything about his life, Liam. But it's a terrible pie.
A
isn't it?
string of losses.
Why is that? Why
A
is
string of losses. And you know what? Being in Sydney probably cost him $20.
why is the gravy so dark, Liam?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Sydney pies, $20. Gravy's too dark. Terrible. Newcastle pies, Archie, get change from a $5. Sorry, no, you have to give more change on top of a $5. But still.
But you still get some change back.
And you don't have to eat it in Sydney.
It's a delicious full meal encompassing pastry, meat, protein, carbohydrates, all
All of my favourite things.
yeah, it'll get
Favorite things.
to get you through the winter.
to get me through the winter.
Liam, we've got a game coming up this weekend.
What? Really?
Oh, yeah, we do. We do.
sick.
We do. Against the Warriors. I have to ask you, Liam, when I saw the draw at the beginning of the season, I thought to myself, well, we played the Warriors once. That's a winnable game. We got the Warriors again a mere 6 rounds later. That's another winnable game.
Isn't the NRL draw an odd thing? Why would you play a team twice in 6 weeks?
I clearly don't know what they're doing.
Just do it 1 week on, 1 week off, 1 week on.
Yeah, clearly that would
The
have been
NRL
one.
never should have added a 17th team without consulting us here at the Joust,
Debacle.
which they usually do.
Sometimes we
They
get a call.
usually do.
But Liam, I thought, yeah, they're winnable games. But where did the Warriors get so good?
Now, I can tell you exactly where the Warriors got so good. It's when Shaun Johnson found his smile again.
Oh, yes.
You saw the wonderful interview with him after the game?
Cheeky.
I've never, ever seen such a magnetic, enigmatic, beautiful smiling man.
Yeah.
Beautiful smiling man. And that's when the Warriors got their mojo back, when Shaun Johnson remembered how to smile.
Now, let's hope this weekend, Liam, that he forgets how to smile
Oh, I'll make him forget how to smile.
on the fair shores, on the coal chip train trip into
Boats.
Newcastle.
The coal comes in the boats.
Boats.
We've discussed the boats.
In the port.
But it comes on the train to the boat.
To the boat.
It's very confusing.
And when they get there, I hope he forgets how to smile. And
Oh, make him forget how to
and
smile. I
he
think I already covered that.
He remembers how to frown.
And how to lose.
And how to lose, Liam. How do we beat the Warriors?
Well, that's an excellent question, Naggy. And I don't know because, again, I haven't watched much rugby league in the last few
Charles,
years. How do you win a game? Is it more points or less points?
One of the two.
Oh, okay.
I think. Liam.
Or do you win a game by scoring the same points like we did on the weekend? Because
We
that was a win.
We tried that.
I don't care what anyone said. That was a win. Same points.
We've definitely tried all options. We tried less points, more points, and the same points. We've done it. Again, the smorgasbord, Liam, of attempts to win rugby league games, trying all the options.
When was the last time you had a good smorgasbord? When did the last all-you-can-eat Pizza Hut close?
Oh, yeah. Now Pizza
That
Hut's,
was a smorgasbord.
they're just pizza stores.
It's
now.
a shadow of their former selves. Absolute shadow of their former selves.
The dessert bar.
Oh, forget about it. I was only Jello, purely Jello, and sorry, jelly in this country. My God,
The tiny little
sound like a
marshmallows.
damn foreigner. Oh, the tiny marshmallows. You put them on the jelly.
Yeah. And then you think, oh, I'll just add some chocolate syrup, and you've ruined the entire dessert because it's too much flavour.
Why would you put the chocolate syrup on?
Because it's there, Liam. It's a smorgasbord. You don't want to leave.
It's gonna go off. If you don't put chocolate syrup on your jelly and marshmallows, it's gonna go off, and that's wasting food. And we at the Joust here, as we've discussed in our earlier pie-related comments, we hate wasting food, so we eat it all.
We love food, hate wasting food.
Terrible.
There's
Crime.
There's a player for the Warriors, Charles. I don't want to. Charles Nicole Klugster.
Shuns.
Is that his-
Shunsy.
And he, I think, terribly underrated player.
Oh, very
terribly
much.
underrated player, Liam, because he's not only he seems like someone that the Raiders threw out and the Warriors caught within their net over there and across the Tasman, but he
They had
is
the net to catch the boats.
of course the
Boats
coal
are too
ships.
big.
That's how you stop them. Otherwise, they sail on past.
Well, they tried that in Sydney in 1942, and the Japanese subs went right around the nets. They did it in Newcastle.
They did it.
They shot the cliff.
They worked
Why
it
would
out.
you shoot the cliff?
But we tried the same thing with the Sharks, Liam. Just put a net up the whole way across. No, just a bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a bit.
I don't get the shark nets. It's just little bits here and there.
It'll get the Sharks. It'll deter them. I think this player's tremendously underrated, and he seems to always has good games against the Newcastle Knights.
He's an effort man. He's very much an effort player. And I don't know if the listeners know this at home, but he's one of the very few players in the NRL with Danish heritage. His surname Klukstad, I believe, is from the Danish. It means Campbell.
There was
in English.
There was recently a time when we were celebrating all the players across the NRL. Their
Multicultural round. I think they
multicultural
called it.
round.
Yes.
One player I was surprised to see was Matt Croker, Liam, that he was Chilean.
A good
Chilean.
fella. A good Chilean fella. I didn't know that either.
I'm very happy
it's
that they had that.
fantastic.
Just to
Fantastic.
find that out. It's such an eclectic melting pot.
It is.
Of-
And
of a
I know
team.
there's two dear listeners of the show, the Carvajals, Camilo and Nick, good Chilean boys. And
Good Chilean
I'm
boys.
sure they were immensely proud to see Matt Croker running out with that beautiful red, white, and blue of the Chilean flag.
Interesting, wasn't it?
Weird, yeah, the red, white, and blue is a very popular combination on flags, and yet you only hear the American flag referred to as red, white, and blue.
I think this season, much similar to other seasons, Liam, we've been struck with injury.
So much strucking.
Injury, suspension. Obviously, Kalen Ponga, Kurt Mann in and out of the side.
Hurt man, is he
Hurt
called now?
man.
I've heard some people on the internet calling him that. I think that's quite mean.
Jacob Saifidi tried to take a poor man's head off, but, he put his head there in the first
Well,
place.
I don't know. I've seen the salaries that these NRL players on. I don't think that was a poor man he tried to make.
No, very wealthy man.
A very wealthy man. Top of the middle class, at least.
At least in this economy.
In this economy, interest rates.
Have you seen the cost of houses?
Oh, yeah.
Unaffordable unless you're playing rugby league professionally.
Imagine how many pies you could afford for the price of a house.
At least
Several 100,000 of them.
a couple of handfuls.
Again, not my handfuls, your handfuls.
My handfuls. Well, we can never use your hand as a standard measurement.
You know what they say about fellas with big hands? They should probably get them operated on to make them a more normal size. I think that's the old saying, isn't it?
Lose a knuckle. Lose a knuckle. You can afford to lose a knuckle. There's you got too many knuckles. 7 joints. You wrap your fingers right around. But this season, Liam, we've managed to really come through, and I think there's been a lot of credit to these younger players, like Matt Croker, like our Leo Thompsons. The players that you thought, where do they fit into the side? Well, they've stepped up. They've stepped up, and now they're performing.
They fit into the side in the jerseys that they wear.
Exactly.
I think that's how the jerseys work. If they went out in jerseys that didn't fit, they'd look like fools.
Do you think they get measured up for their particular size? Because they're all skin tight, Liam.
See, now you'd have to. Now, I remember
the baggy jerseys.
I remember the baggy jerseys.
Yeah.
We used to wear those in juniors, and you wear the baggy jerseys, and it's rain. All of a sudden, you put 20 kilos on.
Yeah, very heavy.
You put 20 kilos on. But I think it was the 2003 Rugby World Cup where England and South Africa went into the tournament famously with these skin-tight jerseys, and we thought they all looked like buffoons.
What are you doing?
We thought they looked like fools. You're just going out in a wetsuit. Why not just go to the local breakaway surf shop, drop $100 on an O'Neill wetsuit, and instead Nike are spending tens of thousands of dollars putting together a rash shirt for a bloody footy team to wear.
They can't even get them off. They need a hand to get them off. They have to bend over like this and say, "Someone please help me," and then someone would pull them off like a sock.
I recently tried on my Wanderers jersey from about 2013.
Well, that'd have been skin tight.
I could not get it past my belly. It wasn't skin tight because it was too tight for the skin. So I don't get how these players do it. So they must measure them.
Yeah.
Because, for example, Daniel Saifidi, he wears the same jersey number as Leo Thompson would from time to time. Those are two very differently built fellas.
If we're looking at the team list for this week, Liam, there's been, obviously, we lost a player, as is tradition. We seem to lose a half every other game due to concussion.
It's a pretty shit tradition, to be
it was
honest. I'm
terrible.
sick of it.
It was
How
terrible.
do you change a tradition?
Firstly, we lost HIA'd Kalen Ponga and we HIA'd Jackson Hastings. And now, of course, as is tradition, the replacement is Tyson Responsibly. We lost him, so we have a new, much maligned player, which I don't necessarily agree with, Liam. Phoenix Crossland comes into number 6. I think Phoenix has played in some pretty important wins in the last few seasons, Liam.
Now,
if we look back at the Warriors in 2021, he was in the halves there and played a very solid game. 2021, again, the Manly game, again playing in the halves. No one expected us to win, but we did. And then again, who do we look to for the crossfield bomb with the minutes ticking down to Dom Young in the corner? It is Phoenix Crossland once again.
Phoenix Crossfield Bomb Man.
Oh,
now, he's a much maligned player. I think you used the word maligned earlier, and I've seen people, and I don't endorse this. I don't endorse these people saying that he is the worst player in the National Rugby League competition.
I will not have that.
Now, if you look at a rugby league squad, there's what? 70, 80 players in each team?
Something like that.
We've got 400 teams in the competition. That's 300,000 NRL players. How is Phoenix Crossland worse than 299,999 NRL players?
I won't have it, Liam.
I won't have it.
I won't have a bad word said about Phoenix.
We won't stand for it, and nor should we, and nor should you, Newcastle Knights fans. You deserve better than having the 300,000th best player in the NRL.
What about, Liam, the combination of the two wingers now that we seem to have? Obviously with Dom Young's incredible. Yeah, I know you don't like it because he's leaving leaving the country. He's leaving our fair shores again on the boat.
Which is worse than leaving the country.
And we have Greg Mazier. The combination of the very tall and slender winger, and then the more compact and again like it's like a
built
fist,
like a chair.
like a chair.
Like a dear friend of ours who will remain nameless on this show, but I know he's a dear listener of the show, a dear friend of ours. He's built like a chair.
Yeah.
He's squat, he's solid.
How do you get there?
Put his arms like that. You can just rest your arms on it.
Yeah.
But looks like he reclines. He looks like he'd be a good recliner.
I think if we can move the ball out wide to those two strike players, on the back of Jackson Hastings, on the back of Lockie Miller, the Olympian,
Garth Valencia, I think.
Garth
was his roommate,
Valencia
wasn't
again.
he?
He'll be watching.
What a pedigree to
What
have
a
in,
pedigree.
in your room at the 1980 Moscow Olympics.
It was amazing. He's 47 years old, Liam, if you can believe it. It was, but if we can get the ball out there wide in these beautiful outside backline movements, which I have not seen since 2003.
And now the greatest example of this was the week before Manly, the other game, the one that we won. What was
Canberra.
that called? Yes,
Yeah.
Canberra. Now, what you're seeing and what these big and small men on the wings need is the great work of the centres, which we haven't seen in a while. Dane Gagai, of course, and Mr. Thumb. They're just the quick hands getting out, the quick hands getting in, the small hands if necessary. They can enlarge their hands if they have to.
Of course.
Because a rugby league ball, as we all know, changes size during the game. I believe that was actually... Do you remember when Andrew John suggested, and this is a great idea, as all great ideas that Joey has, he suggested that they should play with a different sized ball in the wet.
Of course, yeah, a larger ball, I'm assuming.
We've been pushing this on the Joust for years, and we were on the phone to Abdo and Volandi's
Constantly.
Was it last week?
He kept
Yesterday?
calling me. I had to block him.
I think it was 20 minutes ago.
Of course.
Anyway, we said this. We said, look, the problem has been solved about players with small and large hands.
Yep.
You just have two different size balls,
Yep.
and when the small hand players have it, it's a small ball.
A small ball.
But when
Yeah,
the big hands players have it, it's a big ball.
Big ball.
How does that reflect on the? How does that fit into the game that we were just meant to talk about?
I think it goes back to, as you said, that we've done so well in the outside backs. We're scoring points once again, Liam. We've got so many points. We've got points coming out of ears.
Which I really wish someone had told the Knights many, many years ago that to win a game you have to score points.
Nathan Brown told them, boys, don't worry about it. You've scored enough. Half time. Just take it easy. Just go out there, have a rest.
A bit of NyQuil at halftime.
Well, what your score prediction for this week, Liam? What's your score prediction?
Look, I'm going to stick with what's been the most exciting part of the season for me is the highest scoring games decided by very few points. So I'm going to go 34 points to 31.
Oh, I like
A good disrespectful field goal slips in there at some point. I'm not going to say who scores the most and the least.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say the Knights score 34 and the Warriors score 31.
I'm going to say 26 to the Newcastle Knights and 20 points to the New Zealand Warriors.
What a
I think
delicious scoreline.
we can kick them off the second place. They think they're up there. They won their grand final last week, Liam, and now they're coming to Newcastle for a real game.
A real men's game.
A men's game.
A men's game amongst men.
From the boys out of the mines and the pickaxes and the Steedens of different sizes and the hands. And
Men who grew up in the mines as babies.
the seven-knuckled men. The freaks.
There we go.
It's from the lead, you see, the lead in the water. I think, Liam, it's time to open your sack. I think it'd be better open that sack again. It hasn't opened it for so long.
It's really dusty. I had to give it a bit of a wash. The good thing about burlap is that it washes easily. It gets crispier each time, but yeah, just chucked it in the wash. You
Can't dry it,
with
though.
a bit of cold power. You can't dry it.
Can't dry it.
No, it'll wreck the tumble dryer. Onto the sack. Now, what we've done with the sack, a couple of the great minds of our Newcastle fans came out with similar questions, so I thought we'd combine them to start with.
Please do.
Daniel Turner and Grant sent us, similar themes. Now, Daniel, of course, asked, what do you think of O'Brien's turn of phrase? And first of all, I will say it's a fantastic turn of phrase, describing the best no try as he had to pick fly shit out of pepper.
It does harken back from doesn't know shit from shoe polish, which I think is a wonderful.
I think it was Ray Warren.
Ray Warren
said that on the
Ray
phone.
Warren, talking about the New
What
Zealand
was that
Rugby League
player who was
side.
trying to pronounce
Stacey Jones.
Stacey Jones.
There's always a tongue twister.
The tongue twister. But anyway, and then Grant follows on with a great question from Twitter. Can we get your top 5 Knights press conference quotes? Now, Grant, to begin with, we're going to say no because a lot of Knights coaches have been very boring over the years. But we decided to expand it to great NRL press conferences quotes. Now, of course, we've got... had to pick fly shit out of pepper. Naggy, what was another famous Newcastle one from a man who wore his collar too wide?
That would be Nathan Brown, a very own Nathan Brown, of course. And he decided to throw a jab back at the former coach, Wayne Bennett, where he said if Wayne was using his big head rather than his little head, then he wouldn't have to rebuild the joint. But of course, Liam, he was referring to infidelity.
Oh, infidelity. I've got dicks on the brain, sorry, crew.
Infidelity using his penis.
to Infidelitize.
Infidelitize.
And now there's a couple of other great ones that I'd love to bring up just to make up the five.
Of course,
There was obviously Tim Sheens in his press conference after the loss on the weekend. The Tigers in turmoil. Mentioned the upcoming bye and said, hey, we might get a win against the bye.
Hey, that's a fun joke, but probably not from the coach that's coaching the side that's losing all the time. But, that's...
But it's a good bit of humour. That's the beauty of being an Australian.
It's good to laugh again, isn't it?
It's good to laugh again. You find humour in the small things. There was obviously the great wordsmith Ricky Stewart with the weak gutted dog comment, which then backfired on him over the weekend just gone.
That dog came back to bite him, didn't it?
And boy, I've had a chat with Paul Kent. He's a listener of the show. He loves us. And boy, he didn't like Jamin Salmon's response. But the greatest, I think, Naggy, and you'll agree with me, the greatest rugby league press conference of all time was Mr. Malcolm Meninga.
Was that a rugby league press conference?
It was not a rugby league press conference, but it was rugby league adjacent.
It was a press conference.
It was a press conference.
He is a rugby league player.
And he is a rugby league player. Yeah. And now, I don't know if any of you younger listeners will recall Mal's ill-fated political foray where he got up on the stage and he said, this is my platform. Yeah. This is what I believe in. Yeah. No, I've got nothing.
I've got nothing.
30 seconds into his political career, he got up and he left. And that is the greatest thing a rugby league player has ever done with a microphone in front of him.
It's a wonderful time. And he had obviously an opportunity to come back and he said, nope. That's it. We had a good go at it. And, that's it. The game's over. 80 minutes as
famously a rugby league immortal who once quoted himself as saying, rugby league has given nothing to me. Now, next question. Let's move along to, again, a wonderful conglomeration of questions here. We've got Joel Southgate. Not a question, but welcome back. Follows up with a question, though, Joel. Thank you. Should we give the captaincy to Gamble or Hastings? Dale Simcoe, another good friend of the show, Disco Dale. Boys, I think Hastings should be captain. Now, this is an interesting one, a contentious point to bring up. Yeah. How do we unseat Jayden Brailey from the captaincy? That is a man who leads by example. He leads by hard work. As a kid, he was the first one in the mine. He was the last one out. He always had the dirtiest pickaxe.
Yeah.
His coal carts were the fullest coming out of the mines.
Still got the dust in his teeth.
He was the one at Beaconsfield you didn't hear about. No. It was those two old blokes and then Jayden Brailey. He kept him alive.
Hey, look, it's really tough to take it away from Jayden Brailey because I think he instills all of what it means to be a captain. You got to have approachability because it's partly being a people manager, a captain. You don't have to manage the team, you have to manage the referee. And you have to do the approaches correctly. You have to walk up slowly to buy your 10-minute time, hands on the hips. What about this? Have a bit of a chat. Walk with him until you're told to go away. You have to, it's a softly approach.
And of course, in Newcastle Knights' captain's tradition, he does get injured a bit and not able to be captain.
Perfect example, Liam, but also...
But he could be the pub captain.
If we're looking at Jackson Hastings or Tyson Responsibly, it's the two men that probably can't control the words coming out of their mouth.
Well, that's why I don't want Tyson Responsibly to be the captain.
I'm sure he'll headbutt a referee if he was captain.
And that's why I don't want him to be captain. No. Because if you headbutt a referee as captain, you're sent to the stocks for people to throw vegetables at you in the town square.
Yep.
If you're just some bloke who, is still pissed from the night before at the Ken, Newcastle public is like, oh, yeah, good.
Perfect time.
Yeah. So that's why I think Tyson Responsibly should not be given the captaincy.
Probably not.
For good reasons.
Yeah.
And Hastings
seems to piss a lot of people off as well.
Well, he's a monk. A lot of people don't like religion. But he's on leave, so,
He's on leave. He's on, his monk days have been paused.
Yeah. Do you reckon monks ever get a Sunday off?
It's like the busiest time.
It's kind of their main day.
It's like, does an elf get Christmas off? Probably, because Christmas Eve they do all their work.
Yeah, that's it. By Christmas, they're rolling up. They got the what do they drink up there? Baileys and milk.
Probably. Something.
Baileys and milk.
A real winter drink. Nick Blanche, Liam.
Now, this is one, Naggy, that I'm really happy that Nick has brought up because this is a topic that you've had a lot to say about over the years. Nick Blanche asks, will Brandy Alexander ever say anything positive? Will Brandy Alexander ever say anything possibly positive about the Knights?
Yeah. Now, viewers and listeners, I used to take a very firm stance on Brandy Alexander.
Viewers, listeners, feelers,
everyone that's engaging in all the different social pipes that this podcast goes out on. I used to really go hard at Brandy Alexander, not only for his slightly shit nickname, but for the words that he used to say.
I think it's a great nickname.
Probably quite good, but Brandy, I don't know. Yeah, okay.
Well, it's a cocktail that hasn't been drunk by anyone except 80-year-old ladies since 1976.
I used to go quite hard at this man saying he has something out for the Knights. But I tell you what, I've looked past that now. I've come a full 180, not quite a 360. It still could happen this season. But I quite like his commentary now. I think he's got a good rugby league mind.
A great rugby league mind, I would agree.
Some would say. So it's, look, whether he says something positive about the Knights, it has been some real slender years about positivity come out of the Newcastle Knights. So I'm hoping now that with a bit of positive, a few wins, he will take his face off and put a brand new one on, and that one will be painted red and blue. So I'm really
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
It'll look like Braveheart, but with red.
And short hair. And slightly effeminate looking. Next question.
Maybe a bit of rouge.
You got to have a bit of rouge. It wouldn't be the Knights without the rouge.
Of course.
Rouge et bleu is the Knights' colours. Thank you very much. Next question we have is from Nick Milligan. Nick Milligan asks, which ref likes the Knights the least? Which ref gives us a fair go? Now, Nick, I'm going to make a call back to something we discussed earlier. Of
course.
Growing up in rugby league, a rugby league fan, rugby league player, born and raised around rugby league, every ref hates the Newcastle Knights, and no refs give us a fair go. That's the way rugby league works. There is not a ref on this planet that will give your team a fair go. No. There is not a ref on this planet that likes your team.
Well, I think out there at Rudy Hill, TAFE, where all the refs are sanctioned and registered, when they come through, they're given a whistle, gold-plated, because it's Rudy Hill RSL. RSL, Rudy Hill TAFE, but it's
right next to the RSL.
Right next to the RSL.
They share a car park.
Yeah, it's that and a barber shop. It's all in the one precinct. But they give them the whistle.
It's a terrible precinct.
There's not much there. And you got to pay for parking. They give them whistle, and they say to them, now, you don't give the Newcastle Knights 1 inch, right? Make it as hard as possible for them to win a game, and then they slap them on the arse and they say, now get out there.
And that's a lot of the listeners don't know. We are involved heavily in the training of referees. That's the whole course. It's like half hour.
Rigorous.
Half hour max.
Or 2 to 3 weeks, but it's spread out over 5-minute intervals.
Oh, well, the rest of the 2 to 3 weeks is spent in Rudy Hill RSL just across the car park.
And part of
the
that,
brickies laptops.
Part of that is just breathing into the whistle.
Because you got to work out your circular breathing. You can't breathe into the whistle and breathe in.
Well, the game would stop every 5 minutes.
It'd be a shame. It'd be a real shame. Next question we
I think we have our final question out of the sack, Liam.
Last question to round things out. Justin Gayon, welcome back, boys. Thank you, Justin. It's wonderful to be back.
Good to be with you.
Long-time fan of the show, Justin is. Question is, what do we think the reason why something within the team has clicked this year, Naggy?
So many new faces, but I think it's a culture change. Is it possible that AOB has turned the boys around? I don't know. But things are looking good.
Now, Jackson Hastings recently said an interesting thing. I believe it was 3 weeks ago, or maybe 2, or maybe 1. Might have been a month ago.
Time is fluid.
After the game that we won against Canberra, that was it. He said in the post-match interview, he said, there's a steal in the team.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought he was talking about someone nicking the Gatorades after the game. But he meant steal.
I thought he meant the lead in the water.
Well, also the lead in the water. Or the steel that's made using the coal.
The coal, the furnace.
But anyway, he said there's a steal in this team. There's a strength. And I feel like AOB may have finally got his message across. His message that was forged in steel, as we just learned, by the coal in Melbourne, and then moved up to the Sydney Roosters, famously made out of steel. And I think that's it. He's been trying to hammer this in for years and years and years, and the hammering works.
Finally, the message is getting through.
I'm no builder, but I think it takes 3 years to hammer a nail in.
And neither of us are engineers, and
nor do we claim to be.
Nor do we claim to be.
Please do not misrepresent us
as engineers.
Engineers.
Cecil City Council versus the Joust. We cannot claim to be engineers.
Nor should we.
We don't need to learn that lesson twice. Thank you for joining us for this week of the Joust. It's been great to be back with you. If you like us, please like us on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, all those social pipes. We'll be back with another episode next week. But if you're getting down to the game, rip in. But if you're not, go down to the Hamilton Station Hotel. It's been wonderful to see you once again, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, Jousters.